Good morning to you. Welcome to a beautiful day, another day on Voice of the People, VOP This Morning. My name is Moses Humphrey, and on the show today, we do have a whole lot. We have what we call the Hood segment of the show, where we take Hood reports. We also will be looking at traffic and newspaper headlines this morning. We also have a focus story, something to talk about. And do know that on the Hood segment of the show, we'd like you to be part of it. We'd like for you to send us messages. We'd like for you to do videos, WhatsApp video calls, or just make a video of yourself and send to us. We'd like to put you up, all right, on our screen and give you some moments of fame as well. Well, for the newspaper headlines, we'd like you to join in analyzing the stories that we are sharing this morning. So don't hesitate. This is your voice. This is Voice of the People. You are the people. We are here for you. And this is VOP This Morning. Good morning to you, Esther.
Good morning, Moses. You look good today.
Thank you very much. You look smashing too.
All right, and apparently, coincidentally, we have a hint of blue in our outfit.
You know.
Good morning again, and this is Voice of the People Television. It's all about you. Here we get to hear your voice, get to hear about you, and most of the program packages and the various segments that we have right on here is basically reflecting issues in the economy, in the polity, every sector of the Nigerian nation as a whole, and we bring in intellectual personalities and analysts who helps us diverse these issues to your better understanding, and for you to also join the conversation right on here on VOP Studios. So most of the time, all you need to do is to send any of your videos going on anywhere it is that you are and you want to be part of the conversation. The number to send the WhatsApp videos to or messages to or comments to is going to be on the screen. So you just send your videos right on there. And of course, we're streaming live on YouTube, so you can send your comments too while, you know, most of the conversation here unveils.
Well, the president has spoken. Yesterday, the president spoke to Nigerians about the Naira redesign policy, and in my opinion, I think that's coming rather late, considering the fact that the extension given for people to change the notes is the 17th, which is today. Which is today. So apparently, it seems like an impossible task. Like, people will be unable to change the old notes. Well, he did say something yesterday. He said the 200 Naira notes will run concurrently. The old ones will run concurrently with the new ones. I don't know if that will provide some sort of succor to Nigerians.
I think it would help.
You think it would?
I think it will help.
Okay. Well, in some states, it doesn't seem like the people are going along with the president. In some states, they are like states like Kaduna. Governor Nasir El-Rufai is saying no.
I've seen it too.
He's saying no, as long as the Supreme Court has said it should remain, the old notes should remain legal tender till the 22nd of this month. That's how it's going to be. So there is contradiction. Now, President addressed the nation, and you know, in the president's address, there was something very interesting. He said, "I am addressing you as your democratically elected president."
Yeah.
And you know, that was key for me. Key. And you know, it just feels that it is the president's address is regardless of the position of the Supreme Court. Should that be troubling? Should we be worried that this administration doesn't seem to care about the rule of law and the position of the Supreme Court? Well, we'll look at the position of the policy when we bring our guests on this morning. In the meantime, we'll look at traffic. Before traffic, let's check out what the weather is saying this morning. All right, welcome back. It's still VOP this morning. Now let's look at the dailies. We do have some stories from the papers. All right, from the Guardian newspaper, voices trail Buhari's broadcast on return of old 200 naira notes. And underneath that one, there's a barrage of sub-headlines. Buhari, new cash policy, legacy weapon against insecurity, corruption, vote buying. Old 200 naira notes available for circulation. Mere 222 billion naira. 2.65 trillion naira to be destroyed. Recirculation of 200 naira notes won't move the needle, Teriba insists. Gbajabiamila, Buhari's directive, a wanton disregard for rule of law. Ganduje alleges plot to scuttle election. Install interim government. Broadcast contemptuous of Supreme Court's order. And that's coming from Adegborua, Ubani, Fume. Compel APC leaders to release hoarded naira notes. PDP tells Buhari. Banks lose 5 billion naira to assault on facilities. That's pathetic. 17 branches touched. Telcos distance selves from failed financial transactions. Buhari's speech will have dire consequences for 2023 poll. CDD warns. Still from the Guardian newspaper, we do have some of the headlines here. Human rights community poll tips Tinubu to win presidential election. Human rights community poll tips Tinubu to win presidential election. Naira swap. Don't postpone elections. Bow to pressure. CSOs warn INEC. WHO warns as Marburg Mpox spread across Africa. CUPP identifies attackers of Ugochinyele's residence. And also some more headlines from the Guardian newspaper. Countdown to 2023 elections. Navigating tension-soaked violence-prone campaigns. And also from the Guardian, we have some of the headlines here. Underneath the bottom corner, 3,980 arms, 2,358 ammunition mopped up, 404,106 personnel for deployment, and that's bordering on insecurity.
All right, on the Punch newspaper this morning, the major headline there, better days aren't coming soon. Despair, disappointment after President Buhari's retired address. And that story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper this morning. The Punch likes to address President Muhammadu Buhari as Major General Buhari. Okay, so President illegalizes 1,000 naira, 500 naira, clash with Supreme Court likely. Those are the riders this morning on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Governor states dare Buhari orders citizens to spend all notes. Naira scarcity worsens at banks, ATMs, and Nigerians buy Naira with Naira. That is unfortunate scenario.
Very unfortunate.
I'm telling you, that we've been witnessing lately. Buy Naira with Naira. All right. Police hand over illegal arms, ammunition to NSA, and that's on page 13 on the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Above the masthead, a Naira redesign plot to scuttle elections, install interim government, RFI. And let me read the quote. Contrary to the public pronouncement and apparent good intentions, this policy was conceived to ensure that the 2023 elections do not hold at all, leading to an interim national government to be held by a retired army general. And that statement is actually by RFI, the Kaduna State Governor. You see that story. Of course, that's a heavy one. And you would think that, you know, there is a kind of synergy now within the party. It obviously tells you that there is a disparity within the All Progressives Congress. Well, you see the detail of that story on page 26 of the Punch newspaper this morning. Bottom page there, Nigeria's oil output rises by 31 million barrels, and that's by OPEC. Story is on page 20. Lagos, a soldier killed by policeman buried. That story is on pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. And of course, the final, headline there on the bottom page of the Punch is economic crisis. Man says job losses likely. That's Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. And that's basically most of the headlines on the Punch front page of the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, so moving on to the Nigerian Tribune. Naira policy broadcast. Speakers, MBF, Afenifere, IPAC, others fault Buhari. And that one has some headlines. As Buhari orders return of old 200 naira notes to circulation. Insists old 500 naira, 1000 naira notes no longer valid. Supreme Court once berated Buhari for overruling it as head of state. Falana. Commercial banks refuse to open in parts of Kano, Ibadan, Abeokuta, Warri, Asaba. Take responsibility for your policy's failure, Atiku tells APC. Emefiele meets 15 bank CEOs, promises to circulate between 700 billion naira and 800 billion naira by end of February. All right, and also we have Tinubu in Ibadan, presents APC flag to Folari, leads APC chieftains to Makinde, meets Oba. It's interesting that the presidential candidate of the APC is meeting with Wike and Makinde, who are PDP governors.
Let's not even go to those G5 guys.
Okay. Court stops PDP from expelling Otom. FG USA sign agreement to return $954,807 looted by ex-Bayelsa governor Alamasia. Retired generals, losers of APC gubernatorial presidential primaries, want interim government. That's credited to El Rufai. And also from the Tribune newspaper, we have this one: people living with disabilities thank Makinde. All right, so that's basically major headlines in the Nigerian Tribune.
Now, while on the Daily Trust, all right, this morning, the major headline there, Naira redesign, Buhari out to truncate democracy, and that is by Ganduje. That is the bold, major headline on the front page of the Daily Trust. The writer says, President counters Supreme Court, insist on ban of old 500 naira, 1000 naira notes. Nigerians recount losses. And that story is on pages 2 and 28 of the Daily Trust this morning. Also, a nationwide broadcast contempt of court, and that is by the lawyers. They remain legal tender in Kaduna. The statement is by RFI. Interesting, says the 500 naira and the 1000 naira notes
will remain
legal tender. So in Kaduna right now, if you're there, I think you have a little bit of luck there. Apparently, the old 500 naira, 1000 naira
it's not
notes.
even only going to be in Kaduna, also in Kano. Ganduje is saying
it's true.
They will remain legal tender.
Legal tender. Apparently, they're really concerned about the citizens. Okay. So, bottom page there, pregnant woman.
I see what you did there. That was some sarcastic remark.
Pregnant woman dies in Kano hospital over payment alert delay. Moses,
My
this
goodness.
particular situation occurs in most hospitals. A lot of women who have actually died, after childbirth, either because they have not been able to pay, and so further treatment and care is not given to them.
And this is for this is further buttressed by the unavailability of the naira now.
Again,
now
it's
e-transactions that people are compelled to do.
In fact, apparently the husband said doctors ignored his bleeding wife. The hospital is now saying we are investigating just because he couldn't pay
this is
on
pathetic.
time. No, it is not cool at
pathetic.
all. It is wrong.
There is
the
an
priority
oath.
should be doctors take care of the patient. Afterwards, you can do whatever it is that is necessary for payment.
And we do know that doctors have an oath to serve, an oath to
Exactly.
save lives. So one wonders, is it because they're not properly paid? Could that be a reason why there is that lackadaisical attitude towards saving lives? It's really pathetic when you allow, the monetary side of it come before the actual saving of a human life. I think we don't even place value on human lives anymore.
This was not necessary.
That's
this woman
pathetic.
shouldn't have died. And then we'll also have all the headlines on the Daily Trust. Unbundling railway will not lead to job losses. That's by Minister. US to return 954,000 Alamesaya loot to Nigeria. It's actually another irony to see leaders who have passed on, and we're still getting money from after they've passed on. We have the whole Abacha loot, which is
the forever given gift. He just continues giving.
And this one, Alamesaya. Okay, and 7 northern states owe NECO 2 billion naira, and that is by the registrar of NECO. You see that story on page 5 of the Daily Trust this morning. And of course, you have 404,106 security personnel for elections. That is by the Inspector General of Police. G5, Wike forecloses reconciliation with Atiku. That'll be interesting to know. And then forced abortion reports. NHRC panel grills military, rescues women, others. And that's it we have on the Daily Trust this morning.
And we do have another paper here. Al Jazeera Friday. We have that one here. So let's take headlines from Al Jazeera Friday. Mixed reactions trail 200 naira reintroduction. Somebody did say he went to the bank yesterday and got 200 naira notes, but the notes were so dirty that he was afraid to touch it with his hands.
Doesn't tear.
Probably money got him from money dug up somewhere and returned to the bank in whole. Because some of those monies, one would wonder if they were ever properly spent. You know, it felt like money just stored up somewhere and then brought out after a while. Okay, some more headlines here. 11,419 booked for malpractices as NECO releases 2022 SSCE external results. NEBZA, SEC to list free trade zone on stock market. Police to crack down on non-state actors in Sokoto. Governor Yahaya swears in first female CJ in Gombe. And Economic Institute backs reissuance. Speaker, SAN fault FG's disregard for Supreme Court. CBN urges compliance. Buhari orders arrest, prosecution of saboteurs. All right. Yes, these are headlines. Well, we do have some more headlines here. Buhari attends 36th AU summit in Addis Ababa. So basically, after the president gave his speech yesterday, he flew out to Addis Ababa for the AU assembly.
And that'll be his final attendance at the AU assembly.
Yes, his final attendance. So he just spoke to us and. Okay, guys, I'll be back. I'll be back. You can, take care of yourselves. Okay, World Bank president to step down. U.S. repatriates $94,000 Alamesia's loot. All right. We've talked about this one already. What do you think about the headlines we're sharing? You have an opinion. We'd like to hear it. Let us know what you think. Send us videos. Make a video of yourself or call us up on WhatsApp on the numbers. Let's have the numbers now. Yes, the numbers are 0802 746 2818. That is 0802 746 2818. Send us your videos. Make a video of yourself. All right, just take your phone and make a video and send to us via WhatsApp, or just call us up via WhatsApp video call. And we'll take your videos right here in the course of the program.
True. And still on the national dailies this morning, a major headline on this day, we have Buhari considers recirculating old 200 naira notes to ease pains of naira scarcity. That's the major headline on this day newspaper this morning. And above that major headline, you have Edo government accuses Oshomole of masterminding protest, riot, calls for his arrests. Meanwhile, the ex-governor fired back, said, "Look elsewhere for blame, not me." Ryder also says to address Nigerians, El Rufai is saying that the option discussed with top government officials in out-of-court settlement move, these and more on the This Day newspaper this morning. Of course, it also says there that higher food commodity prices push inflation to 21.82%, and I think these are basically most of the major headlines that we'll have this morning on most of the selected national dailies.
All right, that'll be it on newspaper headlines this morning. We'll take a little breather. When we come back, we'll be looking at traffic. Stay with us. This VOP This Morning. All right, VOP this morning. Now let's look at traffic. The stretch of Osolo Way from Aye Junction inward and outward Aswani Junction is free. That's what we're getting. And we also hear that high influx of vehicles from Mobostik, Inward Canoe, Chibita to connect Lukman. Atobajeon is busy but moving. We hear that Hollandia Way to link Kolawole Shonibare by Eleganza to navigate back to Airport Road and Osolo Way is good to go. No impediment whatsoever at this moment. Still on traffic. Good flow of traffic in and out of Carter Bridge, Idumota, U Bridge inward Enyi Eyo connecting Balogun Street is good. Oyebanji is busy from 3rd Mainland Bridge inward Adeniji Adele Road. Also, Oba's Palace and Police Post is good at this hour. Ilubirin connecting Carter Bridge on route Ijora is good as well. Tinubu Square connecting Nnamdi Azikiwe Street on route Tom Jones intersection is equally good for now. All right, so do we have some more update? Well, that's pretty much what I have here right now.
Okay, so while at the moment there is an unrest in Mount 12 on the bridge to K2 access, and so vehicles are turning back from Ojota and also from Ikorodu. So if you intend to get to that destination, it's important for you to find an alternative route, or you literally turn back. At the moment, vehicles are turning back. It's important for us to be safe and be watchful out there. So if that is the access you intend to apply, or that's your destination this morning, if you're already on the lane, look for an alternative route or try to turn around, something, but just get out of that particular access at this moment. And the bulletins, our news bulletins, when we bring them to you, we'll let you know the reason for the unrest and more information on that developing story. Also, you also have, there's a heavy traffic along from after Nyanya towards AYA on Abuja Kefi Expressway because of the ongoing Nigeria Army annual route march, Mogadishu cantonment at Abacha Barracks. So if you're also intending to, whatever it is you intend to do around that area, there's an activity actually going on there. All right, still on traffic reports. Good vehicular movement coming in from Ajah towards Ilaje. VGC connecting Ikota to Chevron is also good. Movement from Chevron is busy towards Igboefo and Jakonde due to the morning rush and also the alternation around there. Movement from Jakonde is good towards Chisco. Ikate and Marwa is also good. The return journey from Marwa back to Ajah is also good with no impediment cited for now. Yes, that's what I have. That's well, as we get updates on traffic, we'll bring you more information. That's true. All right, so I have another one here. Better movement from Carter Bridge down to Leventis on route Inner and Outer Marina. CMS Bridge descending UBA roundabout connecting Akbangbo on the bridge is also good right now. Broad Street linking Olowogbowo is okay. Return journey from Leventis ascending Elegbata Bridge down to Police Post is what you would call experiencing good vehicular movement at this time with no impediments recorded so far. Okay. So if you are along Ikorodu, if you reside there, I would employ you to just stay put. There's currently an unrest going on there. It's quite chaotic. Nobody understands what's going on, but there's robbery ongoing there. There's unrest and people are a little bit unsettled with the development around Ikorodu and Mount 12 access. So if that is your destination right about now, I would emphasize again, look for an alternative route, or, you know, just try to stay put where you are until there is calm, you know, along that axis before you continue. So on VOP television, we'll try to let you know, keep you abreast of developments and happenings across the country. And we're getting tweets in that regard concerning that unrest going on in Ikorodu. We'll just take some tweets. This one here, this one from, okay, this particular message here says, unrest in my 12 under bridge to K2 axis. Vehicles are turning back from Ojota and from Ikorodu, and the person says, let's be safe and watchful out there.
hashtag, Patrick, and hashtag unrest.
So if you are also on that access and you can experience what is going on, we would implore you to actually send in videos, want to see what's going on. Apparently people are jumping off their cars and fleeing to safety. Somebody just abandoned his vehicle and just left. So right now at the moment, it seems there is a breakdown of law and order on that access. So if you are there and you can witness it, and you're somewhere at a safe distance where you can take some videos, send it to us on our YouTube channel. We're actually live streaming. Would actually like to hear and see exactly what is going on from your view.
Oh yes, we're waiting for that one.
Waiting for that one too.
Okay, we'll take a little breather now. When we come back, we'll be speaking with our guest in the studio. It's VOP this morning, and also we'll bring you an update on the unrest in Ikorodu,
Mile 12
Ikorodu axis. We'll bring you an update on that one very shortly. All right, so stay safe and stay tuned to VOP this morning. All right, welcome back, VOP this morning. We're talking about matters arising
from concerning the president's broadcast yesterday, and we're supposed to have a financial analyst here that will talk about the economic implication of the president's live broadcast yesterday. So the question now is that, in as much as the policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Naira redesigned to either try to do away with the mop-up cash and see how we can, dissolve the state of corruption, does the pain, or rather, yes, does the gain outweigh the pain? That's the question we're asking you, and that's where we're going to be having the conversation. Because if you look at this entire scenario, yes, the development is good. The policy has a good intention.
The policy seems to have a good intention.
But if you look at the pain Nigerians going through, so would you say that the gain outweighs the pain? We need to... You understand our question. So yesterday, Emefiele actually, he was being questioned by some journalists, and he gave, would I say, his statement. Let's take a listen to Emefiele when he spoke concerning after the president broadcast yesterday.
We are all servants. We are serving Nigerians. As far as I'm concerned, the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation has spoken on this matter, and the president has sealed the whole of the issues this morning in his broadcast. And I think I can only just appeal to Nigerians, let's allow this policy to work. This policy is one policy that goes to solve the problem of reducing corruption and illicit financial flows. This policy goes to resolve some of the problems in the economy. This policy also goes to reducing the level of insecurity in the country. So these three issues, which are the tripod of this administration's policy, are all embedded in this policy. We should just allow it to work. We keep saying this. There are some temporary pains, but I can assure Nigerians that the long-run benefit to Nigeria is overwhelming, and we should just give it a chance to work.
So what should we expect from the CBN following the presidential directives to you?
President has given his directives. I have met with about 15 banks this morning later, and we've given them directives about how they should make all the old 200 naira notes available effective today. And I can assure Nigerians that this will help to reduce the pains. We meet with the bankers at least once daily to get feedback and the rest of them. And I think we should just allow this policy work. The pains, temporary pains, are regrettable, but I can assure Nigerians that it will be well. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. You've heard the governor of the central bank, who happens to be the man in the center of it all. Well, it's a good thing that the president came out to speak, regardless of the fact that his speech came rather late. But at least now we know for certainty that Emefiele has been acting under instructions.
Sure.
Yes, so it hasn't been like he was, doing things on his own accord.
That's true.
Now it's obvious that he's working under instructions from the president.
Now, Moses, here is something. 21 trillion naira out of the banknotes retrieved. That is about 80% of 3 trillion naira. So where are the others?
Big questions. Big questions. Let's take some things from what the president said. Some points that he made yesterday. He did say that this policy, part of it, is the need to restore the statutory ability of CBN to keep a firm control over money in circulation. And he made a statement. He said in 2015, when his administration commenced its first term, currency in circulation was only 1.4 trillion naira. And by proportion, it increased. So by proportion, the currency outside the banks grew from 78% in 2015 to 85% in 2022.
Yes.
That's an excerpt from what he said. And also he said, as of October 2022, the currency in circulation had risen to 3.23 trillion.
I think we have an audio of
Let's listen to that one.
those yesterday morning. Let's watch that.
The supply pressures, particularly to our citizens. I have given approval to the CBN that the old 200 naira banknotes be released back into circulation, and that it should also be allowed to circulate as legal tender with the new 200 naira, 500 naira, and 1,000 naira banknotes for 60 days from February 10th, 2023 to April 10th, 2023, when the old 200 naira notes ceases to be legal tender. In line with Section 20, subsection 3 of the CBN Act 2007, all existing old 1,000 naira and 500 naira notes remain redeemable at CBN and designated points. Considering the health of our economy and the legacy we must bequeath to the next administration and future generations of Nigerians, I admonish every citizen to strive harder to make their deposits by taking advantage of the platforms and windows being provided by the CBN. Let me assure Nigerians.
Yes, very. As I would maintain, that's is a complete disregard from what the CBN, from what the Supreme Court has been saying, because the president is saying that the legal tender, the 1,000 and the 500 naira notes, stopped being legal tender on the 10th of the month, regardless of the fact that the Supreme Court said there should be an extension to the 15th.
Until, they've been able to hear the positions
So
of...
it feels like the presidency, or the president, wasn't even paying attention to that. Like, this has stopped being legal tender. And, whatever, we don't want to listen to whatever the Supreme Court is saying, because according to the Constitution of the Central Bank, you can change the currency when you deem fit.
No, the thing is this, apparently Naira redesigns and, currency change, it's normal, especially between 5, 6, 7 years. We're actually overdue. All right. The thing is, they could have actually started maybe middle of last year in terms of sensitization. So Nigerians are properly ready
now they're asking
to accept.
CBN to sensitize the people now.
So the thing is that all over the world, currency redesigns actually take place because they do this to try as much as possible to curtail corruption, especially for gang-related issues, especially international crimes, those who import and export cocaine. So once you change the money or you change the currency, it limits the transaction of such illegal businesses, across nations. So Nigeria was actually due for the Naira redesign, but then sensitization, planning, commencement, the whole conceiving of the idea is basically what, that's the quagmire right here. But let's just say we know how to cope. We're very good at understanding ourselves.
I think that's a problem in itself. The fact that Nigerians just find a way to swallow everything and cope, that in itself is a problem. We have to find a way to sometimes just bear our minds and let the government know that, look, this is where it's pinching us, and we need you to listen to us.
Well, the current protest that took place, about 2 or 3 days ago, is one of the ways through which Nigerians express themselves as to their discontent with the
protest
situation.
leads to destruction of properties.
That's exactly the fallout.
Which we will still spend money fixing at the end of the day. Now, the banking industry has lost a lot. When you talk about the properties that have been destroyed.
True.
In Warri, for example, a lot of banks were destroyed, and they will still need money to fix these things.
Even
now,
the
these
automated teller machines too.
being burnt, these things are money. As much as the people are aggrieved and want to exercise their frustration, that is not the way to go. That is not the answer to it. But I understand the anger. I understand the position of people.
What do you expect? Let me tell you, while I was coming to work this morning, I just saw a group of people converge somewhere on the road. I thought there was an accident. Apparently, they apprehended someone who tried to steal. Oh, God, you need to see. I don't think it's a scenario anyone wants. They had beaten that guy to a pulp. But when the country becomes like this is what people,
there's an increase in hunger.
Exactly. There's hunger, and then there's increase in crime.
Yes.
Because people just feel that the alternative for them is to take from other people. So I think it was very early in the morning, when people are trying to get to the bus stop and find their way, you just see these guys looking in dark corners, see how they can just, swear someone.
The big question now is, this policy, the Naira redesigning policy, will it curb corruption? Because before now, some days back, we had an alleged bandit in a video showing off the new notes, saying that, look, I have the new notes and I'm going to buy weapons with it. That was in a video. If we have that video, we'll probably play it, much later on the program. That is somebody that shouldn't even have it.
Exactly. How did he have access to that amount of money, amount of redesigned Naira notes?
Okay, well, we'll take a little break and we'll continue with our interview with the analyst this morning.
The financial analyst this morning, that's true. All right, welcome back. You're still on VOP this morning, and this time around, we have our guest in the studio. We want to look at the focal points, especially from the fallout of the president's address yesterday concerning the cash swap and the Naira redesign. Like we were saying earlier in the program, that the president finally addressed the nation, empathizing with them to consider the fact that before the gains, there will definitely be pains. However, he said the old 200 Naira notes can run concurrently with the new ones. But we have already seen, would I say, the fallout and the challenges this particular policy has imposed on a lot of Nigerians. And so I have a financial analyst right here in the studio. Welcome to VOP this morning.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So Mr. Yemi Shoneye is a financial analyst. I got that right?
You're correct.
So here is the question. There are pains, and the government is saying that there will be a gain from this Naira redesign policy. But then the question now is about 21 trillion Naira out of the banknotes retrieved. You know, that's basically what is in, and then that amounts to about 80% of 3 trillion Naira. Where are the others? Because when we look at the breakdown or the segmentation that the president gave yesterday, when we also listen to the CBN governor giving his address, especially when it comes to monetary policies and monies in circulations, monies that are still stashed away, and the new Naira redesign already in circulation, you realize that there are dichotomies in all of this arithmetic that they reel out. So can you explain, basically, as a financial analyst, the challenge these will have on the economy?
Well, definitely the redesign policy, of the CBN is bringing about a lot of pains to the public generally. And that's because, information regarding how this is going to be done was not put out there, clearly. And then, of course, the time is short.
True.
And then in addition to that, the amount of Naira being reintroduced into the market is not as much as what was being withdrawn from the market, coupled with the fact that we are yet to achieve the level of digital economy that we should be in. So yesterday, when the president announced that, okay, yes, they understand the pain of the people, and they've made some gains regarding the withdrawal of the excess cash in the environment, but we're still left with maybe about 1 billion or thereabout. But beyond what is being withdrawn from the environment, I think the pains of the people right now is the availability of cash.
Yes.
Because the cash within the hands of the common man, the SMEs, most of those cash have been surrendered, to the banks, in anticipation that they will get new notes. So the critical issue for the economy now is that there's going to be a slowdown. Yes, the president reeled out that some certain gains are already being seen, in terms of fight against insecurity. So I think there are fewer demands for kidnap for ransom and stuff like that, which is true actually. But however, what we find out is that a whole lot of time is being spent queuing for cash. A whole lot of time is being spent, by, factors of production, labor especially, saying, oh, I'm queuing for cash, I'm trying, and then even closing transactions, it is taking longer time using the digital means. So sometimes you want to close a transaction, but it doesn't close instantly. You spend sometimes upwards of, what you take you about a minute, take you upwards of an hour, 2 hours. Sometimes some transactions don't close until, maybe 2-3 days. So what this portends for the economy is going to be a slowdown, and the kind of, chaos that we are now seeing in some cities whereby, there are some riots, protests. I mean, those things tend to slow down the economy, and, which, on the longer, we may not see it immediately, but, on a longer time, when you look at about 2-3 months, you see that the economy has contracted.
Now, do you think this policy is going to influence monies, that is what I call it, monetary affairs in politics?
Well, it's one of the things that the government, expects, would be achieved by ensuring that, through these quick introduction of new cash, restrictions of the amounts that you're going to withdraw, that by, surprisingly throwing in this policy that, it should eliminate vote buying.
Okay.
But that remains to be demonstrated. So we've seen instances where votes are being bought with mere loaves of bread, with maybe bags of rice and stuff like that. And it's all those loaves of bread and bags of rice are not going to be bought with cash. They could be bought with other means. So where a large population of the country, I think 113 million of us are poor, then there are possibly other means of influencing vote buying. And when we even talking about the cash, in terms of the scramble for cash, you're now having both the politicians and people that need cash for their daily needs, scrambling for the same small amount of cash in the environment. So it remains to be demonstrated that it will curb vote buying. It would probably make it a bit difficult, but it remains to be demonstrated that it will completely curb it.
So apparently yesterday, the president during his address said they were trying to mop up cash, about 2.1 trillion naira, it still needs to be mopped up. And the question we're asking is, in as much as the pain of this policy is being felt in the short term, what about the long term? Do you think this policy is going to be influential in how economic activities take place, and even for Nigerians who have refused to get into the banking system?
Well, I think the policy is not a bad. When we talk about the cash redesign, because there are two things that we are intermingling now. There is the cash redesign, and then there is the cashless. The trend towards cashless. And I think maybe the question that you're putting to me pretty much addresses the cashless, economy. I think on the long run, it's good for the country, but it's something that takes a little bit of time, given one, our level of education, two, the level of poverty, and three, the distrusts with the digital systems that are availed by the banks as we speak now. So the cashless policy was introduced about 10 years ago by the previous CBN governor. Sanusi. And it takes gradual shifts in terms of incremental successes for you to get to a position whereby you reap all the benefits. But it seems after that introduction 10 years ago, not much has happened. So the only thing that we are seeing in terms of digitizing the economy now is whether you're doing transfer or you're using your ATM cards or you are using USSD.
That's true.
Now, those products are few and far between in terms of digital products that you can introduce out there for people to adopt.
You're saying that there are other digital platforms that we have not either utilized or introduced.
There are other digital platforms definitely that we haven't introduced.
And so it requires a lot of sensitization on Nigerians to understand how to utilize these other monetary platforms.
Absolutely. So for some people, it may not just be easy for them to do transfers, maybe because they don't have smartphones, or maybe because they are not savvy enough to be able to follow those steps. But there are other digital platforms. Scanning a barcode, for instance, is pretty easy, and you can actually use barcode scanning to enter a bus or a keke, or do some trade transactions by the roadside. But we don't have such products in Nigeria right now. We don't have an homegrown mobile money.
Which is necessary.
Which, for instance, you see in Kenya, M-Pesa. Everybody talks about M-Pesa when it comes to transportation.
Let me ask you something. For example, I like the angle you're coming from right now. But you know that in this part of the world, somehow, it takes a fire brigade attitude for Nigerians to understand the introduction of change from the norm. So when Nigerians are used to something working for them, When you try to influence it, tell them that, see, this other avenue is way better than this. There's usually this groaning and crying because the system has been working for them. So you wanted to change that system, and the time it would take for that system to be properly, adopted. So it creates a sense of backwardness somehow. How do you think we can encourage a sense of participation to newly introduced policies or initiatives that will help drive our financial sector?
Sometimes we tend to think that, when we force things, then, people would adopt it. But then in the process of those forced adoptions, there's a lot of pain, there's resentment. I think, when you encourage people to adopt policies by informing them, I think information is extremely important. By throwing in incentives. So when I see that my incentive for going digital is easier for me, it is cheaper for me, it is faster for me, it saves me money, then it is likely that I would dump my my backward method of using cash. So we've come to a situation whereby, there are no incentives at the moment for going digital. It's not obvious to the public. They are not well informed, about why they should adopt these policies. So when the incentives are not obvious, then people are slow to adopt. And when the information regarding what are the benefits of adoption is not well communicated, then, people are quick to resist such.
Let's also look at this. Now that they're trying to drive the whole cashless initiative, we've been having, if you've been trying to go do online transactions, I'm sure you'd have seen the difficulty in doing that. And so you have bank charges which do not seem to be regulated. What effect will this have on the economy, considering the fact that business and individuals are forced to make transactions now?
So, well, I think bank charges largely are regulated, so there are charges for different type of transactions that you're doing. But sometimes you see some of those charges as punitive for the amount of transactions that you're engaging in. So I want to do a transaction of 500 naira, I'm charged 53 naira 75 kobo. I want to do a transaction of 1,000 naira, I'm charged the same amount. And then when such money gets into maybe the person selling me goods, that person is also charged maybe 100 naira. So those are the ways where people tend to resist, because I'm going to be charged for this transaction and it is too much, and people say, no, pay me cash for this. So those are the areas whereby the CBN can sit with the banks to drive incentives to say, for going cashless, this charges will reduce to this, or there will be no charges for the first 20 transactions. You can throw in a lot of incentives. Or banks can also say, for doing this number of transactions through my platform, you will get maybe some kind of credit. The way you go to a store and then you buy things and they're recording, what you call loyalty credits and stuff like that. So there can be a lot of introduction of incentives to drive people to the platform. But then, driving people to the platform comes with another set of pain, because there were far fewer people using those platforms before than now. So using those platforms now is creating a lot of pains in terms of failures, in terms of, even potential fraud. So when you're driving people to those platforms, you need to actually improve the infrastructure to ensure that when people do transfers, it works instantly. When there are issues with their transfers, it is resolved nearly instantly. The IT security is, is top notch. Such
in fact, I actually, especially for the fact of transfer, where you go about your e-transaction and somehow the money gets lost somewhere. You call the bank before the bank even responds, takes time, and they tell you it takes 7 to 10 days for your money to be returned to you. I think that's also another discouraging factor.
Absolutely.
Now let's look at inflation. It's about 21.8% or something recently. Do you think this redesign is one of the major issues for inflation to be that high?
No, I think inflation has been top up, about 21% for maybe the last 3 months or so. In fact, inflation slowed down in December to about 20, and then it moved to 21, in January. So I don't think, it is this redesign that is, causing. There could be some factors from the redesign that influences it. Maybe cost of transportation may have notched up a bit, but we're still dealing with fuel scarcity.
True.
So definitely cost of transportation would have notched up a little bit. But largely it's not likely to drive inflation upwards, but to constrict the economy. It's actually, rather than our economy growing, it could actually slow down. True. Meaning people will not be able to do things the way they want to do before. So entrepreneurs are not incentivized to do things the way they want to do because their input factors, they are struggling with getting supplies from maybe the farms because those ones are demanding for cash, getting their staff coming to work on a daily basis is a challenge because they're looking for cash to transport them to work,
or there's no fuel,
or they have to go and queue at the banks for a whole day to get cash that will transport them to work for the next day. So production is being slowed down. Of course, the economy is not growing, and when the economy is not growing and production is being slowed down, there are other repercussions which could be additional job losses,
companies cutting down
costs and
salary reduction. Also, let's look at the scenario finally. I know that we're just bombarding you with questions, but in this kind of scenario, what do you think what sector, because you'll be so surprised that there are persons who are actually enjoying making money from this entire challenge. What sector do you think stands to gain? What economic sector stands to gain in this?
Well, so this should actually be a gain for the banks and the financial technology sector. Because what you have is a situation whereby many of the transactions that are taking place, going on with cash, is being driven into digital. And when those things are being driven into digital, what it means is that the banks will enjoy things like charges, fees for executing those transactions.
But how does it affect the naira in the international market?
Well, so I think there's a bit of how it affects the naira, but a bit locally. So there is a reduced amount of cash naira chasing the dollars at the parallel markets. So what it means is that, in terms of naira chasing dollars, there are few naira chasing dollars in terms of cash, and then the exchange rate has been relatively stable. I think it's been at about 740, 750, over the last 2 months, as compared to when it was trending towards like about 900, sometime in November. But then I think that is minimal, really. The exchange rate is determined by even much more factors in terms of than the cash chasing but of course the cash chasing the naira creates some elements of so but in terms of exchange rate, it may have helped a little bit, but it's not going to sustain it over a much longer time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Yamishanaya. But just before you go there, at the moment, there is a serious scenario right there at Ogudu. Let's give you a video of that. Just take a watch on it. Okay, so welcome back. We thought we'd be able to give you a video of that, but I think our production team is trying to get it. But if you are along that axis, I would expect that you apply caution. Look for an alternative route. However, there seems to be military presence at Ikorodu and at Ogudu at the moment to quell the current unrest, going on there at the moment. But anyways, if you are at Ogudu at the moment or trying to get to Ogudu, look for an alternative route, and also try as much as possible to stay safe and be careful. It's important for us to be careful. Mr. Yemi Shinoye, thank you so much for coming on VOP this morning. I really love your financial intellectual input. It was quite enlightening and diverse, especially for a lot of us who needs to understand how the cashless supposedly policy, the Naira redesign, is currently affecting the Nigerian economy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a short break. And when we come back, we'll take sports.
All right, VOP this morning. You heard that interview. Now we do have some videos for you. We have we'll be touching on a few other things, very shortly. We'll be talking on
our Hood reports.
The Hood report, yes, the Hood report where riot in Warri took place and people were angry, destroying bank facilities, ATMs, and all of that. That one happened in Warri. Now, in that one in Warri, they were protecting a particular bank, the FCMB, saying that this bank has been paying, so let's not even touch it. All right. So, but bringing it back to Lagos, Gudu, we hear there's chaos going on, fighting and unrest going on in Gudu. We're still trying to get you. Yes, we have the footage of that one, Gudu. It's wise to stay away from that area right now.
But there seems to be peace now. There's a sense of calmness.
Well, we hear that military personnel, the police have been drafted to that area to ensure that there is peaceful conduct of people going on in that vicinity. So in that video, we can see people going about their businesses. Going about their businesses right now.
And I would say, would one say this is a spillover from what happened at Mount 12 this morning? The unrest there now, close to Obudu. So these are the kind of scenarios we're talking about when most policies are implemented, in as much as it is meant to curb out some illicit practices and attitudes of the elite. I think the common man or the average Nigerian needs to be considered when these policies are made, because the after effect or the fallout will definitely truncate everyone's activity.
Exactly.
And Lagos is not a state that needs to dissolve or have any form of breakdown of law and order.
In fact, I think it's been rather fair in Lagos compared to other parts of the country.
That's true.
There's been like almost a total breakdown of law and order in some other parts of the country.
That's true.
But for Lagos, we've been really chilled. Lagosians have been calm about it
up until this morning.
Okay. Well, it's enough. It's enough to make people, to throw people off balance.
That's true.
There's no money in circulation, and some people have their monies on them and they cannot exchange it at the CBN. Imagine the CBN saying from the 15th to the 17th, that's when you can go and exchange the old notes for the new notes, and we have just one CBN office in each state.
And do you know the funny thing? The protocol.
Exactly, you have to go online.
Exactly.
You have to get a code. You have to enter your BVN.
And not everybody understands how to do that digitization process.
So another part of it is that if care is not taken, fraudsters will clone the CBN site and get people's BVN.
That's another point.
Yes.
Nigerians knows how to they know how to just take
your BVN and then they have access to all your accounts at the end of the day. So you're trying to solve a problem, and then you're creating another problem for yourself in the long run. So that's another thing. So banks should sensitize the people even more. And carry out proper campaign. Let people know that, look, these are your banking sites. These are your banking application. And for banks that their security is not tight enough, they should up their game so people don't get duped in the process or don't get conned in the process.
In fact, yesterday I was speaking with my colleague. I think she was in a vehicle, and so she was like, "No, I want the new note," because apparently the driver gave her the old note as changed.
She gave the driver the new note,
and she gave the driver the new note, and she was like, "No, you're going to so how do you want me to change it?" The man said, "No, then we'll collect it." She said, "No, give me my new note. They will collect it." So that's a panic it's created, in the minds of everyone.
I also know someone yesterday who had 3,000 naira old note, and when she heard the announcement by the president, she went to some retail outlet with 1,000 naira, bought something of 100 naira, and they gave her 900 naira. So she has 200 naira and then 500 naira, and she bought with the 500 naira, and they gave her 400 naira. So she has 400, 800 naira, and that was how she broke down the 1,000 naira, and she's like, now I have 200 naira notes.
No, she was even lucky to see. She was even lucky to see.
I'm sure the president didn't even know that
that was a strategy.
Yes.
No, but honestly speaking, Moses, it's something else. I must tell you the truth about it. It's something else. I know that a lot of people are actually going through this challenge, and I just hope that we're able to survive this. It's about 7 days to the presidential and National Assembly elections, and these things are coming up. People want to stockpile their homes with food. Imagine that. Because
Talking
right now,
about surviving, Nigerians have a way to make fun out of everything.
Aha!
In as much as there is tension and people are wailing, some people are putting in their artistic skill to use.
That's true.
There was a picture. I don't know if you can put that one up.
Put that one. That's
There
true.
was a picture of how somebody made Emefiele's face with Eba. Eba is, a local meal made from dried cassava. Well, this person was able to carve out the face of Emefiele.
Oh, yeah, that's a
it on your
beautiful one.
screen.
In fact, when I saw this morning, Eba was hungering me. So I want to eat Eba with vegetable soup.
This is funny.
This is
and
funny.
Quite artistic.
Yes.
So
yes.
Emefiele's face and some vegetable soup.
You know, we're very creative.
We
know
just have
how
a way
to find a way of finding joy
in everything.
In everything. This was nice.
This is
this
is
nice.
funny.
You wouldn't even want to take out of this Eba now.
You want to just frame it.
It actually circulated on social media.
Oh, yes.
A lot of Nigerians
yes.
had this on their phones, and it just made one smile, considering what what is going on at the moment. Quite an interesting one.
Yes. Well, let's just be calm. Let's be calm. Let's not take laws into our hands. That's the much we'll say. Try as much as you can. If you have the 200 naira notes, yes, you can start, doing business. And let's just be calm. Let's be calm.
That's very, very true. And it's a Friday. Thank God it's Friday.
It's a Friday.
So, when we came on set this morning, Moses was looking dapper. I mean, look at his outfit, looking dapper. So I asked Moses, where are we going after work? Moses says no. I said no. I refuse to believe that.
We're going somewhere.
We're going somewhere.
Yes,
okay,
we're going somewhere.
Because you can't look this dapper. Just end it here.
And you'll grab a shit.
So it's a Friday. What are your plans this weekend? We do know that we're going through the Naira challenge and all of that stuff, but trust me, in Lagos, they really know how to have fun, no matter what the scenario is. After work, Friday evenings, they know where to converge and just try to make light of whatever the challenge is and see how they can just have one of those restful weekends. What do you say, Moses?
Oh yes. It's a good time to relax. Just make sure you have your ATM card and your phone is charged. So
you can do
transfers or use the POS and go out and have fun.
That's
relax.
True.
But whatever you do, don't stay out too late.
Yes, especially
because
now.
There's tension in the air. Now, some people have not been able to have access to cash at all.
True.
And I'm sure you don't want them dipping into your pockets to get the cash that they need.
Exactly.
So
or taking your
stay
phones
safe.
and going to buy, put it up somewhere for sale.
Yes, just stay safe. Whatever you do, stay safe. VOP this morning will be. We'll take a little break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the show.
Yes.
Good genetics for my dad, so I think.
Tell me what you eat, because I want to be as fast as you.
I eat a lot of African food. but I have good genetics for my dad, so I think it's a little bit difficult for you to get fast.
Yeah, I know I have some trouble. What's the African food called, so I can look it up?
It's called fufu.
What's it called?
Fufu.
Fufu?
Yes.
From where is that?
Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay, I'll look up some fufu to start eating.
Concluded that white is populist. My friend.
My friend. Mijn pa, ze is toen in Instagram in dat die was krijg ik maar.
Had ik het zeggen?
All right, my very good morning, beautiful Lagos and beyond. Welcome to the Sport Rise Show on VOP this morning. My name is Ijoma Kizito. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday. I'm really happy to be back to the studio, but I should say thank God for life first of all. On the show this morning, we've got some stuff to talk about very much for you, so you just have to sit back, enjoy yourself, because a whole lot happened in the course of the weekend. In the course of the week, yesterday, first of all, to start the weekday, to say, talking about the matches played yesterday, the UEFA Champions League games across the globe. Looking at the result already, you could see Barcelona playing a 2-2 with Manchester United. Ajax Amsterdam played a 0-0 with China Berlin. Juventus played a 1-1 with Nantes. Bayer Leverkusen lost at home to Monaco of the French League 1. Shakhtar Donetsk as well, 2-1 to Rennes. Salzburg 1-0 to Jose Mourinho's Roma. And Sporting Lisbon played a 1-1 with Midtjylland. And also Sevilla played a 3-0 against PSV. So looking at that very much game, first of all, let's just have a little bit of, let's just go into one of the top matches played, the biggest match. That was the best match to say. Barcelona, and also, but the result again, Karabakh also played a 1-0 to Giant. Bodo Glimt also 0-0 to Lech Poznan. Lazio 1-0 to CFR Cluj. Sheriff Tiraspol of Moldova played a 0-1 to Partizan Belgrade of Belgium of Serbian. Trabzonspor of Turkey 1-0 to Basel. Braga lost at home and never saw that coming against Fiorentina. And AE Larnaca of Cyprus played a 1-0 to Dnipro of Shakhtar Donetsk. Talk about the Ukraine side. And Ludogorets 1-0 to Anderlecht of Belgium. But the very, very big match to say we saw yesterday was the Barcelona game. And that game was so much interesting. If you watch that game very well, you could see that a whole lot of controversies out there. And Erik ten Hag has come up to say that was a foul on Marcus Rashford and that should have been a penalty. But Alonso scored a goal yesterday and dedicated that goal to his father. Not long we talked about Alonso, the guy who made the move from Chelsea to Barcelona right now, and that man, you see, he's I felt the pain. I understand the plight, and he had to celebrate, for his dad. He lost his dad last week, and that was a good goal for the Barcelona side. Xavi Hernandez was just at his A game, but there's a whole lot of controversy to talk about in that very game, because first of all, you need to understand Marcus Rashford is in the form of his life. He is the guy who has scored more goals, talking about since we resumed after the World Cup. 13 goals in all competition, talking about top flight league. All the top flight league now, since we came back from the World Cup, it's been him scoring more goals, 13 goals, and also the manager, Erik ten Hag, is coming to say that should have been a penalty. Better word, if not a penalty, then maybe a red card. So we just saw great football yesterday. So right now, Barcelona has got a very big blow. Pedri, we saw what happened. Pedri is out. And not just Pedri, now Gavi is also suspended. So Barcelona will be without, Gavi and Pedri. And that's going to be a very big miss for the club. I don't know how they want to cope about this. I don't know how they want to do this. But, Casey, Frankie, these guys are just going to be on their A game. But for Manchester United, Casemiro was astonishing yesterday. I saw him in the middle of the park. And it was just more like a fight with Frankie, Frankie de Jong. And the manager, Erik ten Hag, is coming up to say it's not going to be easy when we move up to the next phase. Talk about the return leg, where it's going to be at Old Trafford. But this Barcelona we talk about now, and not like the Barca we know before. I feel like, the tiki-taka is no more there like we know, but we still move on. Let's still hope and see how that the game go rather when we return back at Old Trafford to see a very much weighted game. And also talk about the matches played yesterday as well. A game that surprised everybody well was the Lazio game against CFR Cluj of Romania. When I watched the game very well, I felt like Cluj should have done well, but after all is said and done, I should say more is said and done, and that's just what it is. So Barcelona, first of all, on their side, needs to go back to the drawing board, get it right again to go play at Old Trafford. It will be a very much interesting game to talk about. And also another one I never saw coming was the Braga game against Fiorentina. Fiorentina in Serie A are really struggling, right? But 4-0, Braga is in form, one of the team. I just say when you watch Braga in the Premier League and the Portuguese League, you understand that they're very well okay. But losing at home, not just one, not two, not even three, but a 4-0 margin. That's so big to say. But let's just move away from the Europa League and the Conference League matches played yesterday. Let's talk about one thing coming up very soon, the MPFL, the Nigerian Premier Football League. We'll be going on a quick break. According to Davis Inouye, head of operation, interim management, IMC has come up to let us know that the country, the team, everybody will be going on a quick break, and just because of the election coming up, by February 23 and also February 25, I beg your pardon on that, and also February and March 11, 2023. That's going to be a very time where everybody just have to vote. Yeah, I want to put in the right person there. We're Nigerians, and we know we need to do the right thing. So I feel like I'm commending the MPFL, talk about the Nigerian Premier Football League for what they did. Talk about head of operation Davis Inouye saying that every player will have to go back home. It's going to be a time for them to rest themselves. Everybody has to participate in the upcoming election. But the team resumed back. Talk about the league. We'll resume back again after the election for the abridged league format. That's what we are currently on at the moment. So he talked about how well the league has been, and also he said something which was very interesting to say. He said, if we continue this way, sponsorship partners will come in to join us on what we do. And he commended the league right now. Personally, for me, I would say I love the way the MPFL is really going right now. The NNL, the NLO, all these things are looking to be in shape. So it takes me back to talk about the NFF president, talk about Ibrahim Musa Gusau. I think I'll give him that very, very glory on that part. But more of the IMC, interim management committee, head of operation Davis Inouye, and also Benga Elegbeleye, how well they've turned the MPFL, and everybody's craving to see. So a couple of days back, we saw them saying we'll just have to have our league more on DSTV. So it's going to be a very big time again. So we'll see how that goes. But the last thing coming up on MPFL, the last game of the day, the interesting match you just can't afford to miss is where Eyimba will play away from home right against Bendel Insurance. That's going to be a very wonderful game. You just have to, just wait and see right there at Bemudia Stadium in Benin City. Bendel Insurance, so much on fire. Talk about Imadi Sarenko. When you talk about that guy, he's a very wonderful goal scorer in the mix. So it's just been so much interesting to see that. Let's see how it goes. But Jogo, another man in the news again, is Dogo, Kwara United new gaffer Kabiru Dogo, who has come up to say that he would do things right. He believes that he can actually get to make things right again for Kwara United. They are currently at the bottom of the log as I speak to you. So it's a struggling one for Kwara United, and I just pray to see them come back again. I used to love Kwara United. I had my time with Kwara United some time ago, but right now the Harmony Warriors are really struggling. But with the new manager Kabiru Dogo, I just would say maybe something else better would have to come up. Let's just see. Let's get our fingers crossed and hope for the best, and maybe prepare for the worst for Kwara United. But away from that, quickly, let's talk about tennis. In the world of tennis, I've got this one, Norrie, talking about Cameron Norrie. When you talk about tennis, number one, Cameron Norrie fights back to win, and we expect to see that man, British number one Cameron Norrie, avoided a shock defeat by Facundo Diaz Acosta as he fought back to reach the quarterfinals at the Argentina Open. And he's a very wonderful guy. Norrie was on the brink of exiting the tournament, but broke back at home favorite Diaz Costa, ranked 191st in the world, served for the match. So Cameron Norrie is in the news, world number 12. Norrie eventually edged a close deciding set in the tie break to win a 4-6, 7-5, 7-6 in a bonus Iris, and the Britain meets another Argentine, talking about Thomas Martin Edgery, and that's going to be a very wonderful time again in the world of tennis. And we're moving on. Let's talk about one man, talk about the world of golf. 15-time major winner Tiger Woods. I love to talk about Tiger Woods a couple of times. He has really wowed everybody. He has wowed the world. Tiger Woods is a man for the people right now. So talking about Tiger Woods, the LRV Golf, like I said before, you cannot talk about LRV Golf without talking about the PGA. So Tiger Woods did something, talking about the 2023 Genesis Open. He was so amazing, and everybody was looking up to this man, the biggest event of the year. And the 47-year-old with one leg, who hadn't played a competitive event in 7 months, had only shot one round in the 60s in the last 800 days, of course, stole the show. Tiger Woods beat the last 3 holes at the Genesis Invitation on Thursday in the first round of a card 2 under 69 and swept the headlines. That man is the man in the news now. Talk about Tiger Woods. I talk about him a couple of times. I say you can't talk about golf without referencing, Tiger Woods. He has just been so good in what he do. The last time we heard about this big story was the incident. But I'm happy. I would say thank God for life. He came back stronger and better. What he did at the 2023 Genesis Open Invitational Golf Play was so great, and everybody was like, "Come on, can you still do this?" So we talk about more of Tiger Woods. Well, let's talk about club news football quickly to wrap up the sports ride on VOP this morning. Talking about Chelsea, Thiago Silva has come up to say, I mean, this is him talking about back home now. What happened? Thiago Silva came to say he's not happy with what the media are really doing about Enzo Fernandez signing. Talk about the guy who made the move from, Benfica, and Thiago Silva is sending a message back home to one guy. Talk about a man who is also in the form of the media saying, let me just get to see what he said. The man said, Silva has expressed his anger by replying to the post, lack of respect, be more serious with your job. So South American TNT Sport posted an image of the Chelsea midfielder alongside the caption, called the Uber. If you remember that very much run, watch that game again. Karim Adeyemi, after he had to take the run, Karim, he said he eats fufu very well, and that gives him the edge to, have the pace, like he got it from his dad. So Karim Adeyemi, we saw what happened yesterday, the counter attack. Not yesterday, the Wednesday game where Chelsea lost away from home right there at Signal Iduna Park in Germany. And the return leg comes up again in London, where the West London side Chelsea need to go and do things right. But Thiago Silva is really saying more to the media man, who is a South American guy, saying, call me, catch the Uber. We know the run, from Adeyemi, making those kind of moves, and taking off the guy who everybody felt like, yeah, he's the new signing, the British record signing. So right now it takes me back to talk about Todd Boehly. I don't know what will be the fate of Chelsea right now. I don't know personally for me. I don't know what's really going to happen in Chelsea. But let's just see how it keeps going now. This is the team really trying to fight hard to see that everything comes to be better. But we just hope to see if Chelsea will be good again. But will it be with Graham Potter? That's the question. Is Graham Potter the right man to actually take Chelsea to where they need to be? We're going to wait out to see that very well. Also, Messi in the news. Lionel Messi's father, George Messi, has come up to say he sees his son. Talk about Messi moving back to the, going back to the Barcelona. A whole lot of people expected Messi to be back to Barcelona, but PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, has offered him a 1-year deal, which might be saying the World Cup winner. Talk about Lionel Messi staying back with the club. His father is very optimistic that there's no way for Lionel Messi. I don't see Messi going back to Barcelona, but for me, I don't know, my opinion, maybe as a coaching crew, one of the backroom staff, to say, I don't know, I'm just saying. But the father is already, the father is the agent, so he's saying he doubt he will see, he could be seeing Messi, moving to the other side of, talk about the Catalonia, the Barcelona side, the No Camp side. We saw what they did yesterday. But time will tell on that very what everyone is keen on watching Messi to see him back again. But right now, that's not what the Al Khalifi, talk about the chairman of PSG, is looking out for. He's really wanting the club to, keep Messi in Paris and no movement for Lionel Messi. So 1 year deal would be, very, very okay for Lionel Messi. So let's just see how that goes out, and let's see how it's going to be. Lionel Messi in the news. But away from that, I think at this point we should have to be calling it a wrap on the Sport Ride show. But lastly, there's one coming up, one last one. Mark Gabriel, Agbolanho, the man, the pundit guy, said something. He said the Arsenal guys are full of mistakes. He talked about Takahiro Tomiyasu, the Japanese guy, but he didn't really lay more focus on that guy. He said each time Gabriel gets to play with the ball, he looks shaky, and he blames the guy, talking about the Brazilian guy who missed out of the World Cup, for the blow, for the miss out, or to what Manchester City get to win away from home 3-1, how it ended. So we're just looking out to see how Arsenal can go back to the drawing board to bring things out. I don't know how Eric talk about Mikel Arteta will have to do this. I don't know, but it's going to be a very big one to see them come back. 3-1 they lost against the Citizen guys, the Manchester City, and that was so amazing for the Pep Guardiola side. Right now, you know how it can actually be when City seems to be on top. And talk about Arsenal, they are now playing second fiddle. Don't forget, they've got one match at hand. So Gabriel, for me, I know, would be very, very sorry about that. But I just would say the Arsenal guys are having this little fatigue. I talked about the likes of Gabriel Martinelli. There was no Thomas Partey in the middle of the park, and it really affected the team. Jorginho does not have the energy and the pace and the recovery power that Thomas Partey possessed, but it is what it is. Let's just see how that goes up. I'll come back to let you know, hopefully when we return back on the Monday, to let you know the matches that were played and matches that have been played across the week, and also that will play by the weekend. My name is Ijoma Kizito. For now, bye-bye.
All right, so that's the size of the package today. The weekend starts right now, and
Yes.
I'm prepared for the weekend. I don't know what you have lined up for the weekend. Esther is asking for point and kill.
It's necessary.
No problem.
We can't work from Monday to Friday. We're not gonna eat point and kill.
Of course. So that's on me.
Yes, that's
on me.
So on Monday we'll tell you how we ate the point
The
and
palm
kill.
one will be on Mike.
Okay, that's true.
You know, we need to go Dutch, right?
It's true.
The economy is such that you need to go Dutch.
Plus
So
Nkwobi.
okay. Nkwobi will be on who then?
Nkwobi will be on me.
On you?
No, I and Juliet.
Okay. Can you imagine? Why would the ladies share? Why would you guys share one? This isn't fair. Anyway, what are your plans for the weekend? What are your plans? Would you be hanging out? Would you be staying home? Would you be stocking up, knowing that elections are around the corner, and you know there's this apprehension that there might be trouble. Let's just put food in our homes. Well, it's not a bad idea if you stock up. If that's what you'll be doing, I think that's a great idea. I am stocking up already.
We already did.
You know, because I mean, if you go to the market over the weekend, things seem to be a lot more expensive
than during the week.
Yes. So people just, cash in on that, go to the market during the week, stock up, and weekend, you just chill.
So you know that picture that we showed you earlier that's trending via social media of Emefiele's face on, on the eba, and that soup looks like atama soup.
Okay. You can tell, right?
That soup looks like atama soup. So this weekend,